president, I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology.
That was President Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention last year. A statement that was applauded and a huge moment for the Republican candidate. If I could speak, we could get through this faster. Then this morning, the president announced a ban on transgender people from serving in the military. An official telling CNN the defense secretary was consulted about the announcement, but also the announcement was made while he was on vacation. If it did not come as a surprise to the defense secretary, it surely came as a surprise to the thousands of transgender people who are currently serving in the U.S. military. Let us discuss. Who wants this one first? This is John McCain, a veteran himself, a man who is beloved by the military, who loves the military, who lives and breathes the military. He wrote this: there is no reason to force service members who are able to fight, train, and deploy to leave the military regardless of their gender identity. He also said he was confused by this announcement. It was unclear what this announcement meant, Doug.
Yeah, the way the announcement came was a series of tweets that started with, I've consulted with my generals and officials, ... that left everybody hanging for 7 minutes of, have we ordered a strike on North Korea? What exactly has gone on here? Have we lifted or strengthened the embargo in Cuba? We just didn't know. It was confusing. Clearly, if you're at DOD, you didn't see this coming from the president. And that's one of the big challenges of this. We can talk about the policy as a whole other separate issue.
There is a policy debate around this, but yeah.
The way this was done is not how you do anything, especially when it deals with our national security.
The fact that the Pentagon, Barbara Starr, our reporter at the Pentagon, she said the Pentagon was caught off guard by this. She went to the press, and the Pentagon was saying, talk to the White House. What does that say, Betsy?
It says that the president made this decision perhaps for reasons other than serious long-term consultation with the Pentagon. Who would have thought?
Because there is a study ongoing. There is a study that the Pentagon is conducting right now. It is ongoing about the cost of the military when it comes to medical costs associated with transgender procedures. That is ongoing. And at the minimum, folks are saying, let the study be studied and done first.
The other thing that's bizarre about the president's tweets this morning is that he tweeted that trans health care is too expensive for these people to serve in the military. The idea that all of a sudden Trump, who has shown no restraints about having any sort of limit on military spending whatsoever, who's pumped about having $1 trillion ships, shoot $1 million missiles, all of a sudden is like, we have to save a teensy bit of a rounding error. That doesn't pass the law.
There are two major things that we need to think about on this decision. One, okay, if a transgender American is willing to spill their blood for their country, I don't think most Americans in middle America care whether in fact at one point or another their biology was a little bit different than it is today. But the fact of the matter is, as a patriot, someone who will spill their blood for their nation, that the president of the United States, who took a deferment, who refused to serve his country, would be so cowardly to sort of go after these patriots. I think it's repulsive. I think it's repulsive, and it's beneath the dignity of the office.
Joe, what do you say?
Well, I say with the caveat against, demeaning anybody who's in the military, whether they're transgender, gay, straight, that's not what we're discussing right now. I think this was actually strategic. I think you had Chuck Schumer coming out yesterday and announcing his plan for America, trying to refocus the Democratic Party on jobs and the things that people actually care about, and the things that the Democratic Party has seemed to shy away from, why they lost. This is, I think, an attempt by the president to box the Democratic Party into doing what has lost.
I have to say, I hope not.
I
hope that's not true, though.
I'm not saying
it's like you're playing politics.
Like you said, there is a policy argument. Look, as you pointed out, there are, I think, a study by Syracuse University that came out in January that said
don't throw studies right now. Let's just talk about.
So the majority of people in the military.
Let's talk about something that doesn't need study. There are currently transgender people serving openly in the military. That has been policy for years. The question to the White House today was asked at the briefing, what do you do? What do you do with the thousands of people who are currently serving in the military? The answer from the White House is basically, we don't know. The White House and the Pentagon need to figure that out. That, my friends, is not how you roll out policy that affects people's lives and livelihoods.
Especially for somebody who campaigns on standing behind the troops and supporting our military, to float this idea over Twitter to potentially put out there the idea of pushing 15,000 Americans out of the military and then not to have a plan.
But that's what my study was going
Do you see him rolling it back? Do you see him saying, oops,
No, because I think the sad part here is I think that this is purely a political decision in order to feed red meat to a base that's a little ticked off at him right now because of his treatment of Jeff Sessions. I think it happens to, as he's been inviting folks like Ann Coulter over to the White House recently, who have been arguing to him to throw the red meat back to the base. I don't think Donald Trump cares one way or another whether someone puts their life on the line for their country or not based on their gender identity. I think what he does care about, though, is revving up his base at a time where he's feeling insecure because he's being attacked for his collusion with Russia. He's being attacked for failures on healthcare. And this is just an opportunity on his part to feel good.
No matter how he feels, he's got to answer some questions on what this means for the country and for the people who are serving this country right now. Thanks, guys. Let's continue this fight.